1, 2, 3.
Take 4.
That was pretty good.
Wait, we're supposed to say that after the clap.
Yeah, that wasn't as good as the last takes, but it was pretty good. Ready?
Take 5.
1, 2, 3. Oh, that's pretty good.
What's up, Tree City Church?
What's up, guys?
Welcome. We are so glad that you've decided to join us for the second episode of Hear This. A quick follow-up to the first one. It was awesome. We had over 75 views. Ryan, I think we need your mom to watch it a couple more times to get it up past 100. But
big shout out to Mama McMahon.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure she was half of our viewers. And so thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're excited. We have a great show. Today's episode is actually brought to you by Caleb's Outdoor Adventures.
Yeah.
So click subscribe, follow him, and check out what he's doing on YouTube. We're all about trying to get sponsors here on our podcast. And so please let us know if you want us to sponsor you, you know?
Yeah, speaking of sponsors, as you can see, I'm still drinking that Stash tea. Okay, so Stash, if you're watching, Stash, if you're watching this and you want to, sponsor our channel or something like that, today I'm drinking the mango passion fruit, which is pretty good. I will shave back into a mustache if we get sponsored by Stash Tea, and that's a Ryan promise. Okay?
That's what I'm talking about.
Stash, if you're watching this, I would love more tea. That'd be great.
Dude, I'm a huge fan of both mango and passion fruit. Is that what it was today?
Yeah, mango passion fruit. I know, it's killer. It's pretty good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So speaking of sponsors, though, like in all seriousness, we want this to also be a platform to where we can highlight some of your creativity, some of your entrepreneurial skills. And so if you have a business, I know some of you guys sell greeting cards, artwork, you have YouTube channels. Let us know what those things are. You can drop them in the comment section on the gram, and we'll follow up with you because we want to sponsor you. So again, go subscribe to Caleb's Outdoor Adventures. I don't think we have this whole sponsorship thing figured out.
Not at all. Yeah.
I had to buy this shirt. I don't think that's how sponsors work, but we're working on it.
We're doing our best. Also, as you can see from the last podcast episode, we have a new background.
We hear the cries of the people.
Yeah, we hear you guys. We heard that the brown wall was just not doing it for anybody, and it was just not a fan favorite. Shout out to Rocky and Danny for pointing that out.
Wait, all I'm saying is, Rocky, if you have a problem with it, maybe the windshield guy should maybe sponsor one of our episodes.
Dude, we'll get a big windshield guy logo across the back here. It'd be sweet. Yeah. So, but we heard you guys, and so this is our new background. If you hate it again, please reach out to us, DM us, let us know. Hey, let us know what a good background would be. I'm thinking a big blow up of Pastor Lasejo, but that's just me. So,
well, we got a great show for you. We're excited to talk a little bit more about our church, who we are as Tree City Church, and that's kind of the theme for this episode. Is our mission is to point people to Jesus and inspire them to become a part of that mission. And so how do we do that? And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But before we get into that, you guys dropped some questions in for us. And so we want to follow up with some of those questions. One of the questions from last week was, Pastor Zach, why do you have long hair?
It's a great question.
Just a quick update on the hair situation. I'm growing it out for an organization called Wigs for Kids. Shout out to Jackson and Adam. They're also growing out their hair with me. Maybe we'll do a podcast on site when we actually cut our hair.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, potentially.
I actually might be forced to do it because my barber isn't cutting hair for 3 weeks. So I might be doing it with you, but not by choice.
I thought you were going to say you're going to donate your back hair or something.
I could do that as well, yeah.
But that's why I have long hair. I'm growing it out. Cancer has impacted my family. My mom passed away from cancer a couple years ago, and so it's something near and dear. So we another question that we got off of the Instagram, the gram, excuse me. Man,
my age is still showing. And this is a question that relates to me, so I'm gonna talk about it. The question was, I forgot who asked it, but the question was, it's Pastor Lasejo. Pastor Lasejo asked, how did Michaeli and I meet? I could go on and on and on about McKaylee. You all know that, but so I'll keep it real brief. But we met through mutual friends. You may know these mutual friends. It is the very own Pastor Trevor Johnson and his wife Roxanne Johnson.
The real Trev.
The real Trev. The
Give
real
him a
Rev
follow.
Trev. Yeah. We met through them. So I got to NNU. McKaylee was a junior, I think. Yeah. I was a freshman coming in. And I had sworn off relationships before I came to NNU. I had told all my buddies, like, trust me, I will not date anybody.
You kissed dating
for
goodbye.
all 4 years. Yeah, I was done with it. And a few months into NNU, dude, I was at Jazz on the Lawn, shout out to the Brick House, and this angel appeared out of nowhere and just floated across the grass, all elegant. And I was like, oh, who is that? And so as everyone does, I stalked her on Instagram and Facebook. Luckily, though, I wasn't the creep that messaged first. It was her. Yeah, shout out. Yeah. But I saw that her and Trevor and Roxanne were mutual friends, and I had come to know Trevor from going here. So I actually started going to Tree City before I knew McKaylee was going here. It just so happened that the first couple times I attended Tree City, she stayed home. But she wasn't here. So I actually started coming here before. She was just kind of the icing on the cake, and what really kept me here at Tree City. Just kidding. But it was through Trevor and Roxanne. I was talking to Trevor, and they kind of allowed us to meet. First time we actually officially met was in the church van. Right outside of Correlette, yeah. We met in the church van on our way to youth group. It was my first time coming to youth group, and so we met in the church van. It was a magical moment I'll never forget. So that's how we met. There's a lot more to it. If you want to ask me about it later in person, after this quarantine's over, I'll do it. But anyway,
another question was, Pastor Zach, we know you enjoy woodworking. What are you building during being quarantined? I do enjoy woodworking. I'm currently in the process of building Brittany an 8-foot long table as well as a coffee table for our living room. And so maybe if we're good and ambitious, we'll try and put those pictures in our podcast for next week. Sweet. If possible. I'm looking at Jackson and he's saying yes. So I guess the pressure's on for me to finish those two projects, but that's what I'm building right now.
Sweet. Yeah, okay, so getting more into the serious topics and kind of what we're here for in the season of COVID-19, we had an awesome question from Lyndon, actually. Lyndon Jelslowski.
One more time.
Jelslowski. Don't worry, Jackson will edit in the right one. I'm just kidding. But she actually had an awesome question, and the question is, how do we continue to point people to Jesus when we're stuck at home? And that is such a good question, one that we will not be able to fully answer here in the short amount of time that we have. We have a couple ways that you can do that, and the first way that I'm going to talk about that I was kind of thinking about as I was thinking about this question is the platform of social media, right? So it comes to no surprise to any of us that social media has a lot of power. It has a lot of influence in our lives. And we play into that power. We as users of social media, we have power to either promote negativity or promote positivity, unity, all that good stuff that really Christ is calling us to be. But it's very easy for us, especially on social media, where we kind of gain confidence because we're not actually talking to people. It's just kind of computer. And we have this fake, courage on there. A lot of people do. And it's no surprise. We see it all the time. But every day when we get on social media, we have the choice of, are we going to spread fear, anxiety, negativity, or are we going to spread positivity and really the gospel? Everything we're doing, we should be pointing back to the gospel of Jesus Christ. If you listened on Sunday to Pastor Johnny's message, one of my favorite quotes in it, you saw it on our Instagram page, was, the gospel transcends our circumstances. And I love that because no matter what season we're in, no matter where we're at, we should remain to be gospel focused, because the gospel is more powerful than any virus, than anything that we can ever experience here in this life. And so when we approach social media, one of the ways that you can continue to point people to Jesus during this time is just being intentional and mindful about what you're posting. It also comes to no surprise, no matter what side of the political argument you find yourself on, we can all agree that sometimes the news isn't always very factual and may exaggerate things, because the media, for a lot of times, like, they get clicks on fear-based stuff. And so that's why we always see just like these horrific things or whatever. And there are some good things that come out of the news, but just be mindful about what you're posting. If you're constantly posting all these negative posts about, COVID-19 and all this stuff, people are going to click on that. People are going to watch that, and it may just lead to anxiety and fear. And as hard as it is, trust me, we know how hard it is sometimes to find the good and to find the positive. I believe it's our responsibility to be looking for that. Be looking for positive stories. Be looking for things that people are doing that are promoting hope, and not just focusing and dwelling on the fear and anxiety and the number of cases and all this stuff. I think as Christians we need to be informed, but we also need to be people of positivity and hope. So anyway, I saw this quote on Twitter that I just loved. Forgot who it was by, and I'm probably going to butcher the quote as usual. But it pretty much said this, is that during this time, during this pandemic, it's actually causing the church to be the church that God calls us to be. And that's the church of every day rather than the church of Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. So it's forcing us as Christians and as churches to get into the mindset of, we need to be Christians every single day. We need to be pointing people to Jesus every single day in everything that we do, not just on Sunday mornings with the ministries that we do or the Bible study classes that we have on Sunday mornings. We need to be doing that in everything, and that includes your social media posts. And so that's just one real quick thing that I wanted to highlight for that question.
Yeah, I think a great follow-up to that and what we talked about last week is how do we be a neighbor? Yeah. And I think a way that we point people to Jesus in this season that we find ourselves in is through learning how to be a neighbor. What are the needs that are surfacing in your neighborhood? What are some of the practical things that you can do? Maybe just mowing a lawn, seeing if someone needs a meal, checking in on someone that's in the high risk category. Mm-hmm. Make sure you follow the social distancing guidelines and all of that stuff. But I think as a church, we have a very unique time to respond. As Pastor Ryan was just saying, that we can be hope. And we could be the answer to someone else's prayer during this season. And so I think one of the practical ways we can do it is just through learning how to be a neighbor. And that first maybe starts by having a conversation with them and introducing yourself to them.
Yeah, I love that. Again, this time is just forcing us to refocus our minds and recenter our hearts on what I believe the Bible is really calling Christians to, mm-hmm. or how Christians should live. And that's just being intentional with your neighbor, right? And we all, in Scripture, we even see Jesus being asked, well, who is my neighbor? Mm-hmm. And Jesus pretty much says, well, everybody, like we are called to be neighbors to everybody. And so what does it look like to be a good neighbor? I love the challenge that we put out, and we talked about it a little bit in the last podcast of, going to your neighbor and just being like, hey, how are you? Mm-hmm. What do you need? That can be such a terrifying experience. Some of us don't live in the best neighborhoods, so it's a little terrifying for me. But it's incredible what can come out of just a heart of humility, a heart of compassion, and a heart for Jesus. Mm-hmm. When we are truly seeking after Christ, it is incredible what can take place. We are not called to transform people's lives. That's the work of the Spirit. But what we are called to do is set the conditions for the Spirit to move in people's lives. And a simple, hey, how are you doing? What can I do for you? That's huge. Because I guarantee you not a lot of people have had that experience. Not a lot of people have come to their door in a time of need or a time of stress and anxiety and say, hey, how you doing? You know, like what can I get for you? If you're too scared to go to the store, what can I go out and get for you? I just think it's crucial, and we need that right now.
Yeah. As a church, again, our mission is to point people to Jesus and to inspire them to become a part of that mission. And as we continue in our podcast, you're going to learn more about who we are as a church. And we felt that it was important for our second episode to dive into a little bit about our mission, you know, and we believe that all people who confess Jesus is Lord is a part of that. And it's their responsibility to go and to point others to Jesus. And so in the coming weeks, we're going to be sharing our story of Tree City Church and how it fits into the season that we find ourselves in. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a great week. Stay safe.
Yeah, real quick, at the end of each podcast, we're going to have a contest. And I just thought of this. Today's contest is DM us on Instagram. Whoever can guess the length of Zach's hair right now in this moment, right after this, we're going to measure it. Whoever has the closest guess to how long Zach's hair is, you win an intern poster. All right.
Wait, is it going to be signed?
By me. I'm the only one here. So it will be a signed poster by me. I will forge everyone else's signature. It'll be fine. But you get a custom intern poster. Okay. Cool. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. Anyway.
Awesome. Well, hey, we want to end by saying this. If you hear one thing, hear this, that you are loved by God. Yeah. Have a great week.
See ya.